Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to do a character video about Phillip Jeffries. Jeffries has always been an interesting character, and I brought him up in quite a few videos so far this season, so I thought it would be a good idea to go into his complete history, which isn't much since we don't know that much about him. This is your spoiler warning if you've never seen Firewalk with Me, if you're not caught up in Season 3, or if you haven't seen The Missing Pieces or read The Secret History, you're going to get some bits and pieces from that as well. Either way, though, he's an important character, and this shouldn't really ruin anything else. It's just his basic backstory. So Phillip Jeffries is an agent of the FBI. He was played by David Bowie, which added a little bit more interest to his character. We first met him in Firewalk with Me at the FBI field office in Philadelphia, where he came in. Later, we found out from the secret history of Twin Peaks that he went through training in 1968 at Quantico with Gordon Cole, and they graduated as the top two agents in that graduating class. We also know from the secret history that in 1987 he visited the Palm Deluxe Hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We saw in The Missing Pieces that he went up to the desk at that hotel and he was asking about Judy, Ms. Judy I think he referred to at the time. He got a letter from the guy behind the counter, and it turned out this was left for him by Judy. If you don't know who Judy is, join the club, but we'll talk about her a little bit towards the end of the video. So after he grabs the letter, he goes to the elevator, and basically that's the last time anybody had seen him. 2 years later, though, he comes out of the elevator in the FBI field office. He's wearing the exact same clothes that he was wearing when he disappeared 2 years prior, after going into the elevator down in Argentina. And that's where the scene where we're initially introduced to him in Firewalk with Me picks up. He basically comes into Gordon Cole's office, and Cooper's there, and Albert is also there. He seems pretty crazy at the time. He's rambling about Judy, but he's also saying, we're not going to talk about her at the same time. So he brings her up, but he's not talking about her. He sees Special Agent Dale Cooper there, who he has not met previously, as far as we know, and he yells, "Who do you think this is there?" He then sort of rambles out the story of where he's been. He tells us that he made some kind of interesting discovery in Seattle at Judy's, that he attended one of their meetings and it happened above a convenience store, and he mentioned something about the Alcave ring. Albert kind of does Albert stuff and doesn't really help the situation, but adds some nice chuckles here and there. And him and Cole basically are trying to figure out what's going on and how Jeffries got there, because this is the FBI headquarters. You can't just walk in. The lights start flickering, and that catches Cooper's attention, and he goes back out to the hallway. Jeffries continues to talk. Cole goes over to try to call people to come in and realizes the intercom's dead. Jeffries notices a calendar and sees it's February 1989, which is a complete shock to him. And then as Cole turns back around from the intercom, Jeffries just disappears. Again, in The Missing Pieces, we see that he reemerges in Buenos Aires, and we can gather that this is back in 1987 because it's the same bellhop that we see there. So that's a little bit confusing, a little bit of time jump there. In Season 3, we start hearing more about Jeffries, which is something that no one really knew for sure if they would use this character because, of course, David Bowie passed away. So Evil Cooper contacts who he thinks is Jeffries on the radio that he carries around in his little briefcase thing. He ends up not thinking that it's actually Jeffries when he talks to him. And we find out that he had some kind of deal or something going on with Evil Coop. But at the very same time, we find out that he was going behind his back and trying to get Ray and Daria to kill him. And he was going to pay $500,000 for that. Later on in Season 3, we hear about him again. Once, when Evil Coop's in jail, he tells Gordon that he's been working for undercover for the last 20 years or whatever for Jeffries, and that he needs to be debriefed by Gordon. Of course, that never happens because they're trying to figure out what's going on with this guy because they basically know he's not the real Dale Cooper. Then when they go outside, Cole and Albert talk, and we find out that Albert had a call from Jeffries, who had been missing, obviously, and it related to Agent Cooper, who was also missing, and Phillip Jeffries wanted to know about the name of an agent they had in Colombia, that this was important for the safety of Cooper, and then we found out that that guy who in Colombia ended up killed. I guess the biggest mystery right now about him is who was Evil Cooper actually talking to at the hotel in South Dakota. The guy on that line, he basically said that he knew he had met with Major Garland Briggs, that he missed him in New York, and so, whoever that is connected to a lot of the mysterious things that have been going on in season 3. He also said that Evil Coop was going back in, which meant going back into the lodge, and that this guy would be with Bob again. So that's, all mysterious stuff, no matter how you look at it. And why this is important is because after Ray shot Evil Coop, he talks to who he thinks is Jeffries on the phone as he's driving away. He tells them that he thinks Cooper's dead, the doppelganger Evil Coop is dead, but he wasn't sure because he had gotten some help. We saw that. We saw the woodsman. And he just basically said, I don't know what happened. He got some help, and I'll finish him off at the farm if he follows me there. So I mentioned in the Secret History video, Tammy says that the last time he's been seen was in Philadelphia in 1989. And according to the dates, the Secret History occurs after the events in season 3. So we don't really have expectation of seeing him show up in public. As I mentioned, unfortunately, David Bowie passed away right as they were beginning to shoot, and the actor who plays Andy actually said in an interview that David Bowie was supposed to be in The Return. It was supposed to be in this season. It was set up that way, but because of his illness and his passing away, he didn't get to shoot any scenes. So, this guy is a total mystery. He was an interesting character right from the start, and part of that was his casting. I mean, if you cast David Bowie in your movie, even though he's not the most established actor, he's a very famous person, so you gotta imagine the guy is an important character, right? Plus, he's connected to all this stuff, and the way that he enters and the way he leaves, and then whenever the missing pieces came out afterwards, we got more. So he was, a very fascinating character, and his counterpart, Judy, also is a complete kind of mystery. Like I said, he comes in, he says, we're not going to talk about Judy, but then he brings up that he went to this meeting above the convenience store, which is a huge part of the mythology behind the lodges, and that convenience store was supposed to be, like he went to that meeting in relation to Judy when he was staying with her in Seattle. Now, as far as canon's concerned, that's all we really know about her, except that we did have that scene in the lodge where we see a monkey, interestingly enough, who mouths the name Judy, and I'm not going to go into a whole big rabbit hole there, but yeah, we hear her name there. Now, non-canon wise, like stuff that doesn't really mean much other than it's out there, was that initially, according to the early versions of the script, I guess, Judy had been identified as Josie's sister, Josie from the original series. Since that part didn't make it into the final script, there's no saying for sure that that's true. But it's interesting because Joan Chen, who played Josie, decided, but whenever the announcement, I guess probably in 2015, when it was announced that Showtime was going to bring Twin Peaks back, she wrote a letter to David Lynch in character, and she mentions Judy in that letter as her twin sister. So apparently, she was doing it kind of as a joke, but you have to figure that she was wanting to be involved in the series, season 3, and she was kind of floating it out there that she could come back and play her twin sister if Josie herself would stay trapped in the wood at the Great Northern. So Phillip Jeffries is going to play a part one way or another, whether it's actually Jeffries or if it turns out to be someone who's, taken his identity. What that's going to be is not exactly clear, but since I've been talking about the Secret History a lot this week, it seems relevant that a lot of the ties that we see to Gordon that were added in that book are going to, some of that stuff's going to see more light of day. So I think through that, we'll probably learn some interesting stuff about Jeffrey's character, and hopefully when the final dossier comes out, because the final dossier says it's going to be to fill in the gaps of what happened with characters in the last 25 years. Hopefully hopefully we'll get some more Phillip Jeffries there, because he's a fascinating entity. It kind of sucks. Well, it doesn't kind of suck. It absolutely sucks that David Bowie wasn't able to reprise his role. And, there was a rumor before that whenever they made Fire Walk with Me, they had an idea where they were going to do another prequel where it was going to be all about Jeffries and his adventures, I guess. But since Fire Walk with Me didn't get great reviews or great, acclaim at the time, they kind of shelved all that. And this is probably this is what we have to work with. So let me know in the comments what you think. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel and check back soon, because we're almost there. It's almost time to end this hiatus and pick up with episode 9. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.